Hey there, crafty friends. It's Diane, the Creative Inkster. Today is Monday, July 10th, and it's a special day in our family. Today is my son Alex's 25th birthday. Can't believe it. My youngest, my baby, is 25 years old. Holy smokes, where did the time go? We just came back from dinner. We went to Eastside Mario's and had a really nice supper, Craig and Alec and I. And then we're home. We're going to have cake later on. So we're celebrating all the way along here today. So I wanted to stop in and do this quick video with you. I love this duplicatable layout here. I saw this first with a demonstrator in the States who showed this, Karen Titus. And then one of the gals that I do monthly tutorials with, Shanna Miller, had also shown a card with this. And I just really, really like it. It's kind of lots of fun, and it's a way to use up your scraps. And I've got a couple of tips for you along the way. So if you're watching live, please let me know you're here. I love to interact with you. And if you're watching the replay, just jot that into the notes in the comment field, and I'll be sure to check in with you. So this is a pretty simple card and a layout that you can, as I said, duplicate with lots of other papers. What it helps you to do is you pick a pattern paper that you really like, and then you can pull those colors out of here for your card base, which I'm using Bubble Bath on this sample, and then the mat, which I'm using Garden Green, and then the layer, I think for all of them that's embossed, is going to be white. That's just a nice backdrop. Isn't it cute, Shanna? I know. It's just with the ladybugs, so adorable. Yeah, so this embossed layer, you can like use it for in white. I think it looks good. I think that's what I've done for my samples. I'm going to do two other cards, and I want to share a couple other tips. So this paper comes in a pack in the annual catalog, and it's called Delightfully Eclectic. I'm going to find it for you here because you might want to add this to your wish list. Here we go. This is the Designer Series papers start on page 128-29, and here it is on page 129 at the bottom. It is 12 by 12 paper, as you can see. There's 48 sheets, 4 each of 12 double-sided designs for $41. Now, it was on sale in June, if you were able to get it in June. Hi, Vicki. And but still at $41 for 48 sheets, that's a pretty darn good value. Now I'm going to show you this pattern here, and this one that I did with this card is in here. It's this one here. So I'm going to show you a couple of different patterns from this paper that I really like because I opened it up and wanted to start playing with it. All right, so this was originally a 12 by 12, and I just cut these pieces down to 1 1/4 inch. The pink, yes, she, they are very, very cute. Yeah, ladybugs do not have to be red and black, because those ones kind of gross me out a little bit, or orangey and black. And so I pulled the colors together, like I mentioned, from the pattern paper. So in this case, I used the 1 1/4 inch square. I did 3 from one side and 3 from the other side of this paper. All right, let's move along and do something else. So another pattern in that pack is this one. And I can see how if we cut it out with a circle, I did not have a circle die big enough, maybe a rectangular die, and you would get that whole pattern that's part of it here, or we're just going to cut it up. And we're going to go for fun with that. All right, so let's grab our paper trimmer, and we're going to cut off at 1 1/4 inches. Now you can make these any size. 1 1/4 just seemed to be a good size, and it doesn't use up your whole paper pack. So 1 1/4 off this side, and then you'll see you don't see that whole circular flow pattern you see here. The back side is this. So we're going to cut this 1 1/4 inch strip that's 12 inches long into 6 squares at 1 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to have 6 of them to play with. So 3 of one side and 3 of the other side. That's 3, 4, 5. Do you have this paper trimmer, by the way? Because on Friday, I shot a video that's going to go out on Friday this week on my page, all about this paper trimmer and how to tune it up and get it nice and clean and working good for you. So you want to be sure to tune back into my page for that. All right, so then here are the pieces I have to decorate. Now, I love punches. They're quick, they're easy. I don't have to get up off my chair to get them. I just pull them to the table. So that's what I chose for my focal point on this one. And I embossed this with Fern 3D. That's this embossing folder here, a nice thick 3D. It reminds me of the ferns we see up in Northern Ontario. It's pretty basic for the background. For this card here on Night of Navy, I chose the exposed brick 3D. So I loved the brick we had. This is just a thinner looking brick, and then it's all exposed, right? Is that the word? I think that's what it's called. It's kind of rough in other spots. So we're going to use that and this. We need this for the inside. We need this for our layer. And these are all colors that have come from there. We need to trim that down, I see. And then I have a few other pieces. Oh, right, I was going to do some stamping and some punching for my focal point. All right, so what I noticed, my card base, my inside, was that I want to cut this white embossed piece down to fit on fresh freesia. So this is one of the colors in this pattern. Okay, so I had done this a little bit bigger, so I'm going to bring this down to 3 3/4 by 5. And I probably won't keep those pieces. They're kind of small. And now it'll mat nicely. Okie dokie. It's always a good idea too, when you emboss. Some of our embossing folders, I find they shrink one way, but not the other way. So it's not a bad idea to make it a little bit bigger than you need, and then you can just trim it down once it is embossed. Kind of like shrinkage when you're sewing and you have a piece of fabric. She says like she knows anything about sewing. But after you wash it and you just worry it's going to be shrinking a little bit, well, there you go. All right, on to the fresh freesia. Now, something else I tell my customers when you are putting a layer on like this and you just have the small border showing, or any border like this showing, if you want to, punch or die cut something out of the back. If it's going onto a dark card base like this, you're not going to see that you've punched or cut something out of there, and you're saving a little bit of money making your cardstock go further. I just didn't think about it. Didn't have a purpose to do it. But if your card base is white, you don't want to do that because you will see that hole through white or possibly even vanilla. All right, we're going to glue this directly down. Getting glue everywhere. It's always fun. So I started at the top by saying we went to Eastside Mario's in Guelph for dinner tonight. I made a reservation for 5 o'clock because it's my son's 25th birthday. So my other son, Craig, and I took Alec out for dinner, and that was awesome. I'm going to put, and we had a really nice meal there, and it wasn't too busy yet. It was starting to get busy. And I'm going to put my white on the inside, which I do see I did cut to 3 3/4, so I probably just embossed the wrong piece. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Okay, we're all ready with our palette to get going. So we'll assemble our pieces here. Now, I did do a card for a class in this orientation, but all the ones that I am going to show tonight are going to be in the landscape orientation, just because. So for this one, if we just want to follow the pattern here, it really doesn't matter what you do. I sort of started in the middle with 2 pieces, and they were just kind of higgly-piggly. There's no rhyme or reason to this, which is what I love about it. So I'm using 1 1/4 inch squares, but you could use small circles. You could use hexagons or whatever other shape you have for your pattern paper. It doesn't matter. You just use what you've got. And that's the fun part of this. Now, I'm also not concerned if I'm going to have some pieces that there's going to be a little bit of white showing, because my plan is to cover that up. Now, one of the other cards I did has an obvious up and down. Oh, yeah, the one I did this afternoon for a card class coming up, had really obvious up and down patterns, and so you kind of want to keep that in mind if that's your paper that you're, in that case it was the fish on Let's Go Fishing. You don't want your fish going upside down, right? You want to kind of make that work to your advantage. And in a way, these flowers kind of have an obvious up. I don't like to hide the pretty pattern paper, so I'm going to slide this piece in here. But the back side of this one being Night of Navy and Misty Moonlight sort of squares makes it perfect for this. And sometimes the pattern papers don't match up in colors. Usually they do, but the odd time they may not. I really liked it that way first. There we go. First way I put it down. All right, so there's our 6 squares. And then I was going to grab a few punches, which I love. Here's the bow punch, and I'm going to do 2 leaves. I may or may not use them. I may only use 1, but I'm going to cut 2 anyway. I had some scraps here because I'm going to do a flower. And I thought, well, if I have flower, then perhaps I will want some leaves for said flower. All right, so I have, what's the plan here? There was a plan. I'm going to use Petal Park. And let's see. We have 2 stamps in here. It's 2-step stamping. So this is the outline and this is the inside of it. And I'm going to use the 2 coordinating inks, Night of Navy and Fresh Freesia. So I'm going to stamp my outline first. And if I look at my punch, I'm going to punch it this way. So I want to line these up so that when I do my punching, wait a second, that it kind of lines up properly. Oh, right, it's going to go this way. Duh. All right, so it's going to go this way. So I have it going this way down, just so I have a whole lot less waste on my paper. And the punched leaves from the bow punch, they are in coordinating garden green. I'm not sure why I have the petal pink there. I think I had it out just in case I chose to do some flowers in petal pink. So this Petal Park punch, I'll show it this way. You can use this without the stamp set. I mean, it's nice to have the stamp set, it coordinates and all that, but if you just want to get the punch, I think that's a great idea. Because you'll definitely use it. What I would do if I did this in patterned paper or cardstock is I would punch them and then I would stick those punched shapes onto my mat and push the edges in and make them really 3D. And I'm going to show you that in just a second, how I would do that and why I would do that. All right, so now we're going to go put Fresh Freesia on the inside of these pretty outlined flowers. So I'm going to go right over top. It's photopolymer, so I can really see where I'm placing it. And usually I get it pretty well on there. So they will dry a little bit lighter. It just takes a little time. Okay, so we're going to punch them out. And because I lined them up this way, it shouldn't be difficult to get this to punch out evenly. They line up nicely, actually. I just need to grab the edge here. And there we go. I usually pinch it somewhat close so I have a little control over it. And hold it and then squeeze. And my 3 flowers will come out. Just like that. So here's what I was saying that I would do if I just had cardstock and not the stamp set. I would still do these flowers. I would take a pencil or my take your pick tool where this end is sort of a little small circle, and I would press in the center on the mat. This is the Stampin' Pierce mat. It's actually good for stamping on with photopolymers, so you get really nice pushback, and that just makes them pop up in the center. Whoopsie. with a little bit of lift and a little bit of dimension. So now we can decide where we want these to go. I don't need those leaves, so I'm going to put those aside. That was my thought, that I might want to use the leaves. And then I'm going to do a greeting in fresh freesia, and that's just going to cover up this spot here. I think my thought was to do a circle or a something with this, but I'm going to hold off on that idea. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back and arrange my flowers. But I could put them on a circle or a square or another shape, punched, something that's easy, but I'm just going to stick them right down on top of my card. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, I know, Petal Park. I didn't get this for the longest time, Shen. It was really late to the party, but I do love punches, and so it's turned out perfectly as a focal point for this. So then we typically stamp on white paper, right? Well, we're going to jump out of the box and use a dark color of ink like Night of Navy onto corresponding fresh freesia. Now, Petal Park has no greetings in it. So I grabbed Inked and Tiled, which has a bunch of different greetings. And this is only a 1/2 inch, I think. So I'm going to stick with either just a note or congratulations. I don't think I've used the congratulations yet. So that's the one I'm going to go with. And sometimes I put a greeting on and sometimes I don't. All right, I have a big enough piece that if I don't get it straight, but that turned out fairly well, then I could do it multiple times till I got it right. Okay, grab the scissors. We're going to kind of tuck this in underneath here, and we wanted to cover that. Okay, so then let's do this. Well, we didn't, I did. I'm going to kind of go for the same angle if I can, like that. This. And grab some dimensionals. I have some minis out here, which would be perfect for this. Put 3 on the back. If you didn't know it, we do sell mini dimensionals. They're like half the size. They're great for a lot of the smaller projects. You have to put more on a bigger project, but that's okay. You get 750 in the package for the same price as 350 of the other ones. So, you know, they go a long way. All right, there is our first card made together using this cool technique. So I feel like they're a little bit naked. They need something, don't you think? And I wonder if my rhinestones are here because I moved the rhinestones. What color? I don't know what color this blue is. The pink on here would kind of go, though. This is called Tinsel Gems 4-pack. We have 2 in our catalog, Tinsel Gems 3-pack and Tinsel Gems 4-pack. So we're going to use the 3-pack. I don't think this is fresh freesia, but it kind of works. And I'll just put those in the center. The blues would have gone nicely, too. I don't like them without gems. Everything needs to be shiny of some sort. This is like such a pretty card. I forgot to grab the little piece of adhesive. Stayed behind on the sheet. My friend Marcy sometimes puts a little daub of liquid glue with her embellishments. Here where we live, where it's quite humid much of the year, the adhesive on these doesn't stay so well. And if you find that your embellishments are falling off, that's probably what's going on. Hi, Joy. Thank you. A butterfly? Yeah, I think a butterfly would go as well. I'm actually not using a butterfly, but I'm going to use another kind of fluttering thing shortly on my next card. But doesn't that turn out beautifully? It's so pretty. Okay, that's card 1 for tonight. And then before we go on, though, I want to show you this other pattern in the paper pack. So it's got this line thing, which would be great for maybe journaling if you're using it for scrapbooking. But on the back, when I looked at this, I didn't see it right away. But it matches the 2 punches in Inked and Tiled. So Inked and Tiled is this stamp set here for $37. And then if you wanted to get the bundle with these two punches, well, then it's $82.75. But look, this matches the paper perfectly. So I was able to punch some out. This just fits right up here. So it takes a little bit of eyeballing to get it straight and lined up correctly, but you can punch out the squares, or sorry, the crosses. And then look at this, we can do X's and O's now. How cool is that? And then this 6, 7, 8-sided octagon, we'll do this part of the paper. How cool is that? And you have these beautiful floral images. Very cool. So there you go. I love it when products cross work like that. So I'm going to grab my supplies for this one. And I said I was going to use a flying thing, and I am. I'm going to use the dragonfly punch. So Stampin' Up! Has retired the stamp set that goes with this, but we're still using the punch. And this is a great punch, because what I've done with this guy is I punched him out first, and then I ran him through the embossing folder. So you want to emboss after, I think. If you emboss before, you might be squishing some of the embossing out when you put it through the punch. And then to take it another step further, I grabbed my Calypso Coral sponge dauber and just added some spots to there, some color to there, and that just kind of dirtied it up a little. Now this punch also does the large one, but it also does small ones, which, given the location of it, you're always getting a couple of them out. So that's what I decided as a focal point on this. Now I may choose to change the color, but at this point I was going to go with the Calypso Coral. So here's our white. I think I'm going to have to trim this guy too. And this time on this one I used Time Worn 3D. Oh, 3 3/4 by 5 is what I'm going with, but I left it small, bigger. So we'll just trim this guy down real quick. So Time Worn 3D, which is very similar to the exposed brick. I'm just kind of looking for the right side up. That's the right side up. It's similar in that it has raised areas. This has a lot of recessed areas, and then the kind of scratchy parts there. And this is similar. So very, very similar idea. And we're going to layer this also onto a pinky color. So this one's Bubble Bath, 5 1/4 by 4. Let's get that laid down. There we go. Yes, I do think it's awesome. I think it's great that these products cross-pollinate. I think that's just cool. So if you're ever wondering on Time Worn 3D, it does have words on it, but I don't think they actually make a sentence or anything. So at the top here you can see the word harvest or the harvest, and then you see water, you see a few words here and there, but they don't really make a sentence. All right, this is going on the inside, because I have learned that if I make a card, I need to make my inside piece, because otherwise when I go to use them or donate them away and they don't have insides, then I'm cutting a lot of cardstock and it's taking a lot of time to get them ready to use or give away. All right, let's go with this. So I'd love to see what you do with this layout. It is quite something. I think it's going to be a staple in my little bin of keep them handy ones. So I mentioned that you can do the 1 1/4 inch squares. You could do circles. You could do other shapes. You could do, I suppose you could do ladybugs. I mean, you can do whatever you like, but in this case, I wanted to kind of show these off. So I'm going to try and see how this turns out. I have 6 pieces here. It may or may not turn out. It may look like it needs to go in like this. I don't know. It was kind of a thought. I wanted to see how it would work. So we're just going to, let's just see, what are our colors that we're working with? Oh yeah, so I did pre-punch 3 of the different flowers out. And this one has 3 on it, and these go in different directions. So that'll kind of lend itself to how I'm putting them down. So I may or may not love this, but it's worth a try. And it was fun to find out that the punches would work that way too. Now with this octagon punch, I got to tell you, I have used it a bunch of different ways for cutting cardstock and then cutting the square out of the middle, like and taking off these 4 points. I think there's a lot more we can do with it, which means it's been a good investment. I like seeing other ways to use my products that I've invested in. Okay, so we'll put this one on its side. I probably should have put the 3 in the middle, but that's okay. And then this one, just really higgly-piggly. And then we know we're going to hide some of the spots that are open, that are showing. That's A-okay. And if they show, they show, and that's okay too. Here we go. All right, so there's our 6 shapes put down there. We have our dragonfly to stick here. Okay, so I'm thinking this is not really the right color. Well, you know, I just got to live with it maybe. So I'm going to try and give his wings a little bit of life. So I'm just gently, without wanting to squish out his embossing, I'm going to gently do that. And then I'll put a few little mini glue dots down the body. And I want the wings to stick up a little bit. So these are going to kind of go across the main part of the body, but allow the wings to fold, and that'll be enough adhesive to hold this guy in place. I'm just going to stick it here, and then I have a bunch of little ones which I can also sprinkle on this card if I want. And then I was going to use happy birthday. Happy birthday. Block, and we'll use Calypso Coral. There we go. Ooh, that was very not straight. That's way better. All right, second time's a charm on this. I'm going to freehand cut this off because we can. I'm going to trim it down. I think it's too wide. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer, and because I did stamp it decently straight, I can easily trim off some pieces. The other way to do it would be to freehand cut it off, and that works nicely too. And cut off a little bit more of the whites. It's just a bit too much white space for me. There we go. That makes it a little bit easier. All right, and so then this is going to go here. We're going to pop this up ever so little, like just gently. And then we're going to add one of these, at least one of these mini guys. And we're just building it up from the bottom. I kind of like this one. These need to be popped though. I wonder if this is going to fit. The mini may work out just perfectly. Yeah, I can't even see that behind there. Awesome. I'll put this guy up here. Actually, we'll get him coming down. And then we'll get another one going this way. Just put him on here. So kind of like embellishing, but just with these punched shapes. There. So it's different. I like it. It pulls all those colors together. And so I'll bring these 3 cards in, and you'll see them posted tonight, all in one spot. And if you didn't know, when I post the pictures of my cards for the night's presentation, I also put a link to my blog post in there, and you can go and you can get the video replay and the supplies list and all of that together in one spot. All right, thanks for watching. I'll be back on Wednesday. Thank you, Shanna. Thank you for your great comments, everybody. And I'll be back on Wednesday with a cool technique, something that's very messy. We're going to love it. You're going to love seeing me get all messy with the gilded leafing. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.